Hello and welcome back to Study History with Mr. P. In today's Elizabethan England topic video, I'm going to look at why the Elizabethans explored. So there's a number of factors in this. Expanding trade, new technology were two key areas. So expanding trade first of all. Trade was expanded rapidly as the New World began to open up new opportunities. English merchants needed to look for more new trading opportunities as conflict with Spain and in the Netherlands had hit the traditional wool and cloth trade hard. So it was vital to find new markets and new products to sell. Reports from the Americas suggested that there was an abundance of different crops, animal skins, and precious metals to exchange and sell. And Elizabeth and private investors were influenced to fund voyages of discovery because of the potential for huge financial rewards. So comes the triangular trade. So the ancient African slave trade was exploited during Elizabeth's reign. It eventually developed on a massive transatlantic scale with the buying or seizing of hundreds of Africans to ship to the New World, which made a lot of money for those involved. John Hawkins first brought slaves from Africa in 1562, transported them across the Atlantic and sold them to Spanish colonists. He also brought ginger, animal hides, sugar and pearls with with the money he obtained from selling the slaves. He repeated the journey in 1564, and this laid the foundations of the triangular trade. A sense of adventure was also another reason for expanding trade. So some young Elizabethan men, especially the gentry and nobility, went on voyages of discovery and exploration in the hope of adventure and making their fortunes. And publication of accounts of voyages to the Americas persuaded people to venture into the unknown. All of this was aided by new technology, first of all in the field of navigation. So navigation was becoming more precise. By 1584, the English mathematician Thomas Heriot had worked out a simpler way of using the sun to calculate the true sailing direction of a ship, which made voyages safer, faster, and more direct. Also, since the 15th century, quadrants and astrolabes were increasingly used to make more accurate calculations about ship's position. They used the position of the stars to do this. Making navigation simpler and more accurate was vital for long voyages of discovery. Printed books detailing voyages were increasingly becoming available too. Maps were also a key issue, so improved navigation and records of voyages led to more accurate maps. In 1569, the Mercator map was developed by the cartographer Gerardus Mercator. He used parallel and evenly spaced lines of longitude and latitude to place lands more accurately on a map. Sailors now had a much more realistic picture of the world to use when plotting voyages. Printing in turn enabled these maps to become more widespread and consistent between different copies, whereas previously maps had been copied and hand-drawn, which led to mistakes and inconsistencies. Lastly, but also very importantly, was ship designs. So galleons were developed in the 16th century, which were ships that were much larger than traditional trading ships, which meant that larger cargoes could be stowed in them. Galleons enabled more supplies to be taken on board, which was essential for long journeys across the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. It made them useful for both trade and voyages of discovery. Previously, ships had high built-up bows and sterns known as castles. These were lowered in the Elizabethan era, making the ships more stable in heavy seas. Galleons also used different types of sails on the same vessel, so traditional square sails for speed, triangular sails for making them easier to manoeuvre. This enabled longer, faster, and more accurate voyages. Lastly, galleons had gun decks running the length of the ship. Cannons could fire from the side as well as the bow and stern. This was important as piracy was common, so ships often had to defend themselves, and English and Spanish ships often attacked each other. So a key character in the Age of Exploration is Drake, and he's going to follow in my next video.